FM and AM 1160. Well, as Monty Python would say, now for something completely different, as we have our commissioners segment for today. I need to press a few buttons here or there. And over there's one of them, and here's another one, and that ought to get us going. Yes, it does. All right. Shireen Hess, County Commissioner, is on the telephone with us this morning, and she'll tell us why in just a couple of moments. Mike Keith and Robin Gorman are in the studio with us this morning, and they brought guests. How about that? Our conversation is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Let's start to my left with Robin Gorman and Mike Keith. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Todd.
It's good to have you both with us here today. Now, you're going to have to scoot here pretty soon, huh?
Yes, we are one of the places that the Soft Skills Challenge students, the seniors that are going through our town, learning how to do soft skills and do cognitive thinking skills, communication, respect, politeness, listening. So the courthouse is participating in that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But Mike and I decided, since the municipal election year is upon us, that we would bring two guests this morning, Robin Maryi, who is our current elections director and chief clerk of the courthouse. Needless to say, she's a very busy woman.
Yes.
And she has hired an elections coordinator, Wilson Reagan, who you'll meet this morning. So we brought them along so we could scoot out early.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anything else you need to pass along to us, Mike?
Not really. Nope.
You're good.
I'm good.
All right, terrific. So we'll talk with Wilson and with Robin, the other Robin, in the studio in just a couple of moments. Shireen, let's hear from you, because you are you're not in the neighborhood today, are you?
Not today. And good morning, Todd. And good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm really having this wonderful opportunity to be at the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, their legislative conference. And I just wanted to share with our listeners that this is a great organization that does a lot for county government and has helped me tremendously to grow as a commissioner, and all of us actually. And we had a very nice session where we got to meet all of the secretaries or acting secretaries of all 16 or 17 of the departments at the state government. And I just wanted to just say a little bit about a few of them, certainly not all 17 of them, but a few of them that are really relevant to Indiana County. Not that they all aren't, but for instance, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Cindy Adams Dunn, I've known Secretary Dunn for about 20 years now, but DCNR, as it's known, they oversee all the state parks. And of course, we know how wonderful Yellow Creek State Park is for us. And DCNR has their hand in lots of outdoor recreation kinds of grants that Indiana County and our municipal parks have really been able to take advantage of. So we really love the DCNR. And then there was the Department of Agriculture and Secretary Redding. And of course, we know how important agriculture is in Indiana County. The Farm Bill, the Pennsylvania Farm Bill, Pennsylvania is the only state with its own Farm Bill. And there's lots of support for farmers and, how to get access to markets and capital and conservation programs and things like that. And of course, farmland preservation is part of our Pennsylvania Department of Ag, and that's so important in a place like Indiana County. And then we heard from Acting Secretary Valerie Arcouche, she's Department of Human Services. And human services is so important to a county like Indiana County, where we're always working on food insecurity and housing and mental health services and drug and alcohol connections to those programs that can help people there. And we heard from Randy Padfield, who's the director for the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, and Tom Cook, the acting state fire commissioner. And that has to do with all our volunteer fire department and our emergency services response and all of the issues related to being prepared for disasters that can happen in emergencies and our 911 system and things like that. And finally, I'll just say a little bit about Al Schmidt, who's the acting secretary of the Commonwealth, and I can maybe segue into the other folks in the studio there. This is the department that's responsible for elections. Every single election that happens in our nation, the counties run those elections, and the state, but we follow the election code, and that's where the state comes into play. with code and regulations and so on. So I'll just let it at that, just to say that I'm having a great conference, and I'm really anxious and looking forward to bringing back lots of good knowledge for Indiana County. And I'll leave it at that, and wish all our listeners well, and I'm interested to hear what the guests in your office have to say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Shireen. Have a good time and a safe trip back.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
You too. All right. So there's Shireen Hess. And now we are left in the studio. Our numbers dwindle and shuffle a little bit. Robin Mary with us, Wilson Reagan as well. Robin, you've been here for a long time. You've seen a lot of people come through the office and the courthouse. And it's good to finally get you in the studio with us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
It really is. Elections, as Shireen is so concerned about elections and has been for a very, very long time. And you need conscientious people like that involved in elections. And I think Indiana County does it well, don't we?
Yes, we're very conscientious about our process. I can assure that our elections are fair, and we make sure that every vote counts and that every person that's registered to vote is able to vote on Election Day.
Yeah. Every once in a while, something crops up and you have to handle an emergency here or there, but you've got systems in place to handle those events too, don't you?
Yeah, yes, we have checks and balances, like I said. If there's any problems at any of the polling places, we can send out a sheriff deputy or a constable. Again, we just make sure that all of our elections are fair and everybody's able to vote on Election Day.
So Wilson Reagan joins the team. Why did you feel the need to bring him on board?
Well, I've been doing elections since I started with the county back in 1984. And over the years, it's gotten a lot more complicated and more complex, especially since the 2020 elections. All of the different laws have gotten into place. So because of my workload as chief clerk, it's gotten very hard to do both positions. So I asked the commissioners if we could hire somebody to help. So we hired Wilson Reagan as our election coordinator. He comes with us from experience from another county. He worked in Westmoreland County. He lives in Indiana County, though. So we brought Wilson on about 3 weeks ago.
Wilson, good morning to you. It's good to have you here in Indiana County.
Good morning.
Where you belong after a while.
Yeah, it's absolutely been great since I moved out here a couple years ago. So.
I'm glad that you're here with us today. Explain some of the things that you'll be doing in this new role.
Well, for the most part, I'm just trying to keep going with a lot of the good work that Robin and Deb have already laid the foundations over there. So really just continue streamlining the process, do a bit of modernization, and make sure that we're changing with the times. As the election code itself doesn't change very much, but we run into a lot of changing laws and interpretations of the laws, and it's my job to make sure that we stay compliant with those because, like Robin had mentioned, very, very concerned about election integrity and election security, and I want to make sure that we have the best in the state with that. So,
do you foresee that being a role where you actually hold events for elections officials from each of the municipalities? May they gather them in groups, or is it more of an individual basis with each of the municipalities and their officials?
Well, when it comes to something along those lines, I'm not entirely sure that we would be gathering the officials for any type of thing. We work mostly with our judges of elections, our majority inspectors, minority inspectors. These are just your people in the community who work at the polls. Like my position is to make sure that we put them in a position to succeed on election day, so that we can ensure that the elections go very smoothly here.
Yeah, there can be any number of issues that come up, and Robin, certainly you know this from all the years that you've been there. When issues come up that questions of signatures, questions of eligibility to vote, sometimes those require a pretty quick call, and you have to be absolutely sure that you're making them properly, right?
That's correct. We have a great staff in our voter registration office on Election Day. If anybody needs to know where they're registered to vote, or if they have a question about eligibility, Debbie and her staff will look them up on the computer to make sure that they're registered in that precinct and can vote there, or direct them to where they should be.
Yeah. Folks in Indiana County, I think, have a pretty good idea of what their election system is like, and they're pretty familiar with the folks. That's one of the things about Indiana County. The people running the elections been there for a good long time. So they recognize them, and they know that they know what they're doing, and that kind of confidence is pretty important to have.
Yes, the judges of elections in our precincts, they do a phenomenal job. Without those poll workers, Indiana county elections or any elections across the state would not happen. So they are a very essential part of the process. And if anybody's interested in being a poll worker, they can certainly contact our elections office or my office or the voter registration, and we'll try to fit them in where we have any vacancies.
Yeah. Reagan, for your part and what you'll do, you're coming up on your very first municipal election of the of your tenure here in Indiana County. I know that you're looking forward to it. Everything in place so far?
Yeah, things are moving along. They're proceeding nicely. From our end, we're starting to get ready to get our poll workers trained so that they know exactly what we expect of them on that big day in May. So I couldn't be happier with the way things have proceeded. So
Terrific. Well, it's good to meet you. Robin, it's good to have you over across the street finally after all this time.
My pleasure.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160, 2.5 away from the top of the hour.